Thank you. This is a call to order for ANC 1E's Zoning and Economic Development Committee. Hello, everyone. I'm going to do a quick roll call here. So I'll do it via my screen. Commissioner Footer,
Present.
Mr. Nelson,
Present.
Mr. Grant,
Here.
Mr. Norman,
Present.
present. And then we also have Commissioner Jacobson.
Present.
And
Great.
I'm so sorry. I see an AB iPhone, which could be Alex Baca, our other committee member. If AB iPhone, who's calling in as an attendee, if you would like to raise your hand indicating that you are Alex Baca, please dial *9. Perfect. I'm going to promote you as a panelist. All right.
Great. And Baca here, present.
I am here. Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty. So that's roll call. Let's do verification notice. So this meeting was noticed to the community via listserv, social media, and the website, and an e-calendar. Alrighty. Moving down to our consent agenda. We'll have approval of the February 2026 ANC 1E Zoning and Economic Development Committee minutes. Main item that we approved was the Georgia Avenue Small Business Roundtable. Can I open it up for unanimous consent? So
Um,
any
I'm so sorry. Really quickly, before we get into the consent agenda, I think we just need to approve the agenda. Do you want to
oh,
just read off what the agenda consists of and see if there are any amendments to the agenda? And then we'll approve that, and then we can go to the consent.
Oh, okay, no problem. Going back, approval of the agenda. We just have our consent agenda. We'll open it up to community announcements and any presentations for the folks in the audience. On our official business, we have a presentation from some folks with the DC Office of Planning on DC 2050 and also a non-compliance sort of discussion for doubles. Up on Georgia Avenue, and then we'll be adjourned. So any amendments to the agenda for tonight?
Um, no, just point of clarification, the non-compliance with the DC Condo Act, this is with respect to doubles.
I thought that was the same one, or am I mixing those two up?
I think that's
Um,
different because doubles
Oh,
is not the 3600 block.
oh,
3619 is Georgia and like Otis.
oh, okay. So then doubles is being added then towards the end here. So I think that was something
um,
that I saw from Commissioner
yeah, Commissioner
Hawker.
Commissioner Hawker and I were kind of going back and forth. I think I don't know. Yeah, we'll if you don't mind, if I offer a friendly amendment to update the agenda to include an an update or conversation on double settlement agreement.
Got it. Okay, I will add that to the agenda updated.
And I'm sharing my screen. I'm happy to make a quick update if that's helpful. Um, so like have a discussion
Settlement agreement.
on doubles.
Yeah, having two areas of notes is better than one. I end up using mine for the approval, so I think we'll
Nice.
now have a more rolling basis minutes here.
Perfect.
I would also like to suggest an addition to the agenda. I don't know if it's an official business, but we talked about for our next meeting to have one of the Howard students do a mock presentation of a project in our area.
Yep.
And I'd just like to briefly have this quick discussion so we can plan for that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. We can add that to the agenda as well. Um, Using a case. Planning. Okay. Anything else to be added to the official business committee updates or any community announcements we should add to this list? Okay. Now, Commissioner Footer, do I need to actually unanimously consent to the approval of this new agenda? Is that
As amended. Mhm.
yeah?
So I
Can
can make
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
I move with unanimous consent to approve the agenda as amended.
Hearing no objections, seeing no objections, you're so moved and approved.
Great.
Great. Now, moving back to the consent agenda, approval of the February Z meeting minutes. Again, that was approval of mostly the Georgia Avenue Small Business Roundtable conversation. Any motions to approve this by unanimous consent?
I move with unanimous consent to approve the consent agenda.
Any objections? Hearing none, seeing none, we are approved. Okay. Moving down to the community announcements and presentations. Again, I can't really see the participants, or I don't know that I have access to pull people up. But if there are any folks, please raise your hand with any community announcements or presentations. Also for the committee members as well. Oh, I see one hand up. Commissioner Jacobson.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair McDaniel. Main thing is that the ANC voted to start a special committee on Lower Georgia Avenue. We are currently taking applicants for folks who want to work on that committee. I will drop a link in the chat for anyone who is interested in applying to be on the committee. Thank you. That's all.
Great. Just want to make sure I capture the link here and include it. Um, all right. Paste there. Okay, great. Any other community announcements or presentations? And we can lower Commissioner Jacobson's hand. If all possible. Oh, thank you. Okay, hearing none, we can move into official business and committee updates. So we're looking for, first up is the Office of Planning with a presentation on DC 2050. I think we see some folks over there.
Yeah, if you are the presenters, perfect. Thank you, Alex.
And Ryan, there we go.
And Ryan, awesome. I just promoted you both, so you should get a request or a notification to join.
Great. Can Alex, Ryan, can you hear us? You good to go?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You can take it away.
Great. I'm not sure, was Ryan able to?
Yeah, I think
I think Ryan still has his hand up and he's not yet a
Oh,
panelist.
yeah, he's back into the
Yeah.
attendees. There we go.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm Ryan Hand. I'm the Associate Director for Citywide Planning at the DC Office of Planning, and I lead the team who prepares the comprehensive plan. I'm joined by Alex Krefitz from our neighborhood planning team today. Alex, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm Alex Krefitz. As Ryan said, I'm part of the neighborhood planning team. We'll also get a little bit more into it in the presentation, but I'm the Ward 1 liaison for DC 2050. So you'll hopefully see me reaching out for a number of different events and engagements that we're doing around this for Ward 1 ANCs and at Ward 1 events. Ryan, I can pull up the PowerPoint now if that'd be helpful, or
That'd be lovely. Thank you. I want to thank the committee for having us today. We appreciate the opportunity to brief you on this important project.
Folks able to see my screen with the PowerPoint?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much. Do we have the next slide, please? All right, so we're going to touch on a couple of things today. Basically, what we cover in the first phase of the planning process, where we are in the second, and where we're going in the future. I think most importantly in this conversation, we have a question. I know Alex Bach is very up to speed on the work we're doing. I'm sure she'll have some good questions. I suspect you all may have had some conversations as well. So I'm going to focus on the Q&A portion. Does that sound all right? All right, next slide. One more, please. All right, I just want to set the stage a little bit, make sure we're bringing everyone along with us, even though we have a few super fans in the crowd here. The comprehensive plan is a long-range vision for how the city grows and changes. It's adopted by DC Council and governs how we grow and change for about 20 years. It identifies where housing will be built, where jobs will be located, and how our neighborhoods will fit together. This document includes policies and priorities for how we use our land, for how we use every property in the city. It's a really important document because it affects every place in the city. And it's important to work together to build a vision and a set of policies that take us to where we want to go as a community. Oh, good to know, Alex. Next slide, please. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about how this works. This is obviously a committee that knows a little bit about zoning. It's pretty focused on zoning, and it's one of the things the comprehensive plan is used most for. It's the policy that underpins our zoning. So the reason we do the comprehensive plan is it's called for on the home rule chart. It's one of the things that Congress really wants the district to do. It's part of how we grow in a really sound way. The mayor is the chief planner for the city, and the Office of Planning is the steward of the comprehensive plan. That means it's our job to maintain and develop the comprehensive plan as the city grows and changes. We work with ANCs in this process. ANCs have great weight in the planning process, and I want to make sure that you all know that, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the process. And council has the authority to adopt and approve amendments to the comprehensive plan. Once the comprehensive plan is adopted, it informs the city's budget, it informs our programs and priorities, and one of the most common way it affects the city is it guides our zoning as the city. So the zoning commission makes zoning, the Board of Zoning Adjustment, adapts zoning, and the Office of Zoning works with those bodies. We also, as the Office of Planning, work with the Department of Buildings to inform these processes. And these are things we're pretty familiar with, but I just want to make sure everyone's coming along with us and is familiar with these pieces. Next slide, please. So why are we doing this now? The district adopted its current comprehensive plan in 2006. It's been about 20 years since we've started a new comprehensive plan. And we did amend that comprehensive plan in 2021. I'm be willing to bet a number of you weighed in on that plan and helped us create the document. And through this, it is time to take a new look. The city's in a really different place than it was in 2006. We have new challenges and new opportunities that we didn't have back then. And that's part of why we need to take a fresh look about where are we going and build a new foundation for our future together. That's really the big reason we're taking this on. Next slide, please. So I want to give you a little bit of perspective about where we are in the process. We're in the second out of 5 phases. We completed the first phase back in August, and we'll complete the second phase in April. So we're getting close to the end of it. The big takeaway is that we're going to be hosting 2 workshops on March 18th and March 21st. Really hope everyone here comes out and talks to us about those workshops. We'll be introducing our proposed land use map and collecting a lot of feedback on that map, and we'll be talking a little bit more about some of the key approaches for this comprehensive plan. So it's a really important conversation to join. After we complete this phase, we will take some time and develop the comprehensive plan itself. And our goal is to release that for public input in the fall. We're shooting for September right now. Ultimately, our goal is to have this comprehensive plan to DC Council for their consideration by July of 2027. And that'll enable it to matriculate through the approval process and receive the final congressional approval in 2028. And that's when we go into effect. And that's what we're working towards together here. Next slide, please. So just touching a little bit, through August, we engaged over 2,000 people in a survey. We had over 700 people attend our events, and more importantly, we were able to inform over 1,600 people about this planning process at pop-up events. We were at festivals all across the city, from farmers markets to the 8th Street Festival, to things in every neighborhood. We were at 55 events across all 8 wards, and we've continued to conduct pretty wide outreach in the second phase. However, we did shift from prioritizing pop-ups, where we go to community events, to hosting focus groups. And so when we finish this phase later this summer, we'll release another engagement report about the second phase of work we're in. That'll be comparable to these figures. But one of the reasons we publish this report, and you can download a copy by scanning the QR code, is to show where we've succeeded and where we face challenges, so we can ask for help and ask for advice on how to achieve our challenges. One of the things that we face challenges in is we reached a lot more white residents than black residents in the city, and there were other equity goals that we didn't meet our aspirations on. So we've been asking council members, ANCs, and other community members to help us spread the word and help us reach our neighbors to make sure we have important conversations here. We're going to keep sharing our progress as we go forward and keep asking for help where we see gaps, and inviting others to help us identify new opportunities. We have next slide, please. So what we've been hearing, right? We've been hearing that housing is really important for different incomes, different household types. That's something that has come up in kind of every public process that touches comprehensive planning, community priorities. Housing is almost always at the top of the list. So hearing similar things about grocery stores. Again, I don't think it's going to be shocking to anyone. Grocery stores, especially for communities in wards 5, 7, and 8, are a challenge for many residents. But parks, recreation centers, access to metro stations are all very important to residents across the city. One of the big takeaways is that traveling by metro is one of the experiences that residents prize the most about living in the city. So we're really focusing on a transit-oriented approach. That's what residents have told us is really important about their communities. We've heard that 76% of residents want to stay in the district for the next 10 years. We're really happy to hear that. And our goal through this planning process is to create an opportunity so that everyone who lives here today has the opportunity to live in DC in 10 years from now if they want to. So we're working to build and expand that opportunity. Next, most people, reach their daily life, most people struggle to travel east-west in the city. It's kind of a big deal, right? We know that's something a lot of us have experienced. And it's something that, we're going to be working to see if we can partner with DDOT to find some better answers. Next slide, please. So what are some of the key outcomes we've heard, right? We want to get a better understanding of what the public wants, because what that means is that we need to grow together, and this comprehensive plan needs to reflect the community and the community's needs and the government's needs together. That's a part of what makes the comprehensive plan, powerful and effective for decades to come, is it has to be rooted in our shared values together. So that's a big part of what we're doing here. And then it informs our land use policy, right? It informs how the city is going to change. There'll be new buildings and new uses built on land across the city over the next 20 years. And this document is how we work together to share our view. We are engaging lots and lots of people so that we're hearing these comments, so that we're getting feedback. And as we go through the planning process, we will tailor our approach to make sure that we are getting equitable feedback. What that means is we're getting feedback across all communities in the city. And when we're not hearing from people, we're going to work with partners to go reach and find those communities that we're having trouble reaching. The next slide, please. So where today? So we're starting the second phase process where we're really, going from ideas to forming approaches, right? And so, we're really looking at a new concept called place type. If you know our current comprehensive plan, we have a whole bunch of categories that are based on residential or commercial use, and we combine those into mixed use categories. And it's really pretty messy. There's 55 mixed use categories on our current future land use map alone. That's a lot for anyone to make sense of what it means. So we're taking a new approach, and it's a model called place types that's a best practice in the planning field. We're learning from peer cities, from Memphis to Dallas to Denver, Charlotte. A whole bunch of cities have made some really important progress on how to structure comprehensive plans. What makes place types different is they include a lot more policy than a traditional land use category. Traditionally, a land use category would describe use and density and maybe a few other parameters. Place types say a lot more. Can we have the next slide, please? So they tell you about all the policies that are most important for a piece of property. They tell you about how the property should be used, what connects it to other places. So is it near a metro station? Is it a place where people are going to drive to their homes or their jobs? It tells you about the public space and a lot more about the design of the buildings. These are policies that are in the current comprehensive plan, but they're spread across more than a dozen chapters. And we are designing place types to bring these policies together so that everybody understands what the government's policy is. That's really important for the planning process because it means we can have more informed conversations about what our policies are and what is concerning and beneficial to different stakeholders. So this is about being clear. Another part of this approach is our current comprehensive plan is 1,200 pages long. It's very difficult to make sense of. It's not a pleasant document in any way. I wrote 3 chapters, I can tell you from deep experience. And this new approach, we're shooting for a document that's about 200 pages long. And what that means is that we're taking an approach where we're much more direct in our tone. We are in our framing. We are connecting important ideas so that it's very clear what our policy is, and that means we can all discuss it together and build a shared view as a city. Next slide, please. So the big picture of what we're trying to take away from this is we want to center people, we want to increase user friendliness, and we want to advance the equitable growth. These are all things that are achieved by moving our policies to a place types model. So you can find a property in the city, what place type it has, what are the policies that apply to that property. From there, you'll be able to identify, was this a housing project? I should go, then you can find the housing policies and learn a little bit more about some related policies. Or if you're an expanding university or a place of worship, there'll be policies that'll guide you in those areas as well. They'll say a little bit more about what to expect from our viewpoints. But the big piece is that we're putting people at the center of this process. We're going to make it easy to use, and by doing those 2 things, we're going to help make a policy framework that takes a city where we want to go together and advances equitable growth. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we've simplified our approach to land use categories. The residential categories are basically the same of what we've had in the past years. There are 4 of them: small, moderate, medium, and large. Those are the same general ranges that we've had in our comprehensive plan for more than 20 years as a city. The big change are in these mixed use categories. We've condensed 55 categories down to 3. And the way we did those categories might have mixed, medium density with moderate density residential. In practice, that medium density commercial was actually controlled the size of the building. So we went through and how those policies translate into zoning and figured out how to simplify down to these 3 categories. And why we were able to do that, the place types include a lot of other policies. So we don't have to have so many different flavors, and we can have policies that will apply in different conditions. How buildings transition to less dense conditions, how the public space works when they're restaurants and other businesses. These are all conditions that we were trying to handle one at a time, and it made a very confusing document. So this is a simplified approach that provides more clarity. Okay, next slide, please. So this is a view that touches on the ANC 1E area. What you're looking at here is the current comprehensive plan translated into this new approach. What you'll see is that this kind of looks like the community today. The kind of brown yellow areas are moderate density areas. So I think row homes type of housing. That's largely what's there. And the red area, the pinkish red area, are areas that allow some larger buildings to get about 8 stories tall. And that's pretty similar to what we're seeing today. Some of the areas along this corridor haven't fully utilized this land use, so we still see a lot of 2 and 3 story buildings, but in general, buildings up to around 8 stories would be permitted on many of these sites. The darker red areas would allow larger buildings. In some cases, they can be up to 12 stories or so. And the deeper gold areas would allow apartment buildings to go up to about 8 stories. So that's generally what we're seeing today, and that's what this map shows. What we'll be showing on the 18th are our proposed changes. Looking ahead, we're not proposing a lot of changes in this ANC. We're making changes we're focused on changes more towards the periphery of the city where we've made fewer changes in the past. Just know that you shouldn't expect a ton of changes in this area, but we're happy to have a conversation. If you think there's an area that ought to have a different land use category, that's something we're thrilled to talk about. We have the next slide, please. So something I want to touch on a little bit is that we're focusing on making sure the district can grow successfully over the next 2 decades. We know we're facing challenging times right now, and we're going to have to straighten some things out. Ultimately, we're still pretty confident that over the long term, the district will grow, the region will grow. There's going to be some time. There's going to be some years here where we're sorting out the impact of the federal changes, but over the long term, there's a lot of evidence that the district's going to continue growing. As we grow, we want to make sure we're growing equitably. That means making sure that we have housing that people can afford across all communities in the district.
Ryan,
Yes.
yeah, I just want to be cognizant of the time. So I don't know how many slides
This is
you
the
have.
last one here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So big picture, we're looking to grow in a balanced way. That's the big picture. We're trying to grow in a balanced way that meets our needs over the long term. Of the next, I think this last one there was. All right, we're going to breeze through these. We're focused on growing around transit. That's kind of the punchline here. Next slide, please. We conducted some feedback down, in November. We collected some feedback in November. The area we collected feedback on that includes this ANC. People generally want large apartment buildings, and housing is a top priority. Green space is also important. That kind of makes sense with larger buildings, right? Those two fit together. This area includes downtown and stretching up to the ANC 1E area. We will be collecting more detailed feedback as we go. Next slide, please. And this is the last slide. We'd love for you all to come out to our workshops on the 18th and 21st. These are really important to come to. We also want you to sign up for our newsletter so you're hearing about this process as we go along. And follow us on socials if you're on those. So I'll pause here, take questions. I see we have a few hands, and I'll leave it to the commission to advise on how you'd like to handle questions.
All right. Committee members, who wants to go first? I got two hands. Mr. Norman.
I think Tony had his hand up first, yeah.
Yeah, could we get a copy of the slide presentation?
Be happy to share it. We'll email it during the meeting.
Okay. I want to carefully look at that.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have two questions. You'd mentioned, and I know you're kind of generalizing because we're trying to go through a very complex process and plan in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you mentioned, and one of the things that I've heard from constituents all across Ward 1 is that we need more housing. We need more housing. It struck me that you just mentioned that actually there's not going to be a whole lot of change within the density within some of these areas. Why is that? If people are begging for more density and more housing, and you're not going to change the policies in order to be able to increase housing, if the density or the height restrictions are a congressional act and you don't change neighborhoods to be able to reflect some of that ability to grow more, then how are we meeting the need?
Yeah. So we have capacity today for about 100,000 more households than we have today under the land use map I just showed you. That's part of why we're not increasing the land use is that in 2006 and 2021, we added land use in many parts of the city, and a lot of that hasn't been realized. A really good example, that's George Avenue. That map would allow 8-story buildings in most parts of George Avenue. That hasn't been realized in many cases yet, right? So that's part of what we're looking at is where do we have unrealized capacity and where do we need additional capacity for the market to work right?
Awesome. Okay. So one thing that I heard you say that I'm taking away is that there's 100,000 potential units of housing that is underdeveloped within the city.
That's correct.
Wow. Okay. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
The second thing is, and I know this is a trickier one, so please take your time answering this, but
we'll see.
right. Fair point. How are you weighing what a neighborhood may be advocating for versus what is needed for the betterment of the city at large? And let me be very blunt. Ward 1 is high density and has taken on a lot of the development across the city, but there's only so much more that we're going to be able to do. And other wards, such as 3 and 4, are going to really have to start to pitch in. I know that's a controversial kind of thought because a lot of areas have very large front yards, things of that nature, and they don't want to get rid of that. So how are you guys starting to balance what's good for a small segment of the city versus what is the broader need across the betterment of the whole city?
Yeah. So I'll kind of say on a couple of levels. One, fair share housing is a really important thing. That's a concept that every part of the city should do its part to add new housing that we need, and especially add affordable housing that we need, so that we're creating balanced opportunities across the city. So that's a big one. So we're looking for the areas of the city that don't have those resources today, and we're focusing our energy there. You're right. A lot of those opportunities are in wards 3 and 4. There are opportunities in other places as well. In addition to that, and that's part of why I'm kind of forecasting. I don't see a lot of changes in Ward 1 is where we see those gaps in other parts of the city. And that's where there's some existing capacity in Ward 1. That's a big part. We're going to release a map next week that's going to share a view. We're looking at what's called middle housing. So I think small apartment buildings, townhomes, duplexes. Those are the areas we're focusing on. You generally don't make buildings smaller when you're trying to add to the density. So we're looking at the areas that have smaller buildings today. Those are where the opportunities are. The reason why we're looking at those smaller buildings is they cost less to build and they're ultimately cheaper for people to live in. They're not, they'll still need subsidy to make them affordable to a lot of households, but it'll require a lot less subsidy.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. You worked really hard. The planning department worked really hard to involve many of the community members and wards and so on. How are you planning to get input from Congress other than them being the approval element? How does that work?
So we work with the National Capital Planning Commission, who advises Congress. That's really the big step in between there is the National Capital Planning Commission is the federal government's planning entity for this city and region. And they're the ones who have the expert view. Congress generally trusts their approval. So if the commission approves, Congress generally lets it pass. Notably, this will be in 2028 when we'll have a new Congress. That is very favorable to us and part of how we see the end game working here.
And that commission is appointed by Trump? Is that commission, the commissioners are appointed by Trump?
Many of the commissioners are appointed by Trump. The district of government also has representation on the commission as well.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. I see Commissioner Jacobson.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure if someone else multitasking with the baby over here. I guess I understand that there are plenty of places that have underutilized capacity in the district, but I heard that I think Seattle just legalized eightplexes on every single residential lot throughout the city. Why aren't we considering something like that? Because my understanding is that the more housing that you're able to build on a lot, the cheaper that housing ultimately becomes. Because if you look at the cost of housing in DC, especially if you look at like a row home, a lot of that cost is driven by just the land costs. And so if you're able to put 8 units on a single lot, then the cost of that land is going to be distributed across those 8 units and not, having 50% of your value just be the acreage that you sit on.
I'll tell you, it's something we thought about. Portland has been the leader in this case. Portland's been very successful, allowing 6 units per site. The big difference between the West Coast cities like Seattle and Portland and DC is their lots are a lot bigger than ours. So you can actually achieve on a DC lot tends to fall short of those 6 units. And what that means is that it's really hard to overcome the economics of a functional house with less than 6 units. We've done some studies that with 4 or 5 units allowed on a lot, you generally don't overcome the value of the existing home on the site. You have to get to 6, and that's where the small lots are a problem for us. So part of how we're handling that, and that's an even bigger problem if you can't park on site. That's why we're focusing along transit routes throughout the city, near metro stations, near bus lines, because we don't have to park on those sites, and it's a lot more likely we can get larger numbers of units that will actually get built. And so part of what we're looking at are, there's a number of other cities, Arlington among them, that have, made blanket middle housing moves. They've been less successful actually generating housing. And we're looking at other jurisdictions that have taken more targeted approaches, and they've been having a little more success actually getting housing built.
Thank you.
Yep. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Ryan. I mean, I think you know what I'm probably going to say here, but I do
I'm
want to
shocked.
follow up on Josh's question in sort of 2 different contexts. And I'm sorry to be on my phone for this, but sort of first off, why not just legalize 6 pluses? If it doesn't get built, it doesn't get built. Like, what is the harm in that being by right? And I understand if you need to like blink twice and say it's a political concern, but I have a hard time understanding why we can't just like have that happen by right, other than politics. And sort of secondly, I know that you all are looking at this as sort of 5-minute walk sheds around bus stations and 10-minute walk sheds around train stations. And so like even Ward 1, even as dense as Ward 1 is, there are so many parts of Ward 1 that are more than a 10-minute walk from a metro rail station, more than a 5-minute walk from a bus stop, and not all of them have parking. So like why we've proven that this is like possible and fine. And Ward One's pretty high demand in part because it is dense and it is near transit, it is near stuff that supports our amenities, right? So why would we remove that opportunity from Ward 3 and Ward 4 and Ward 5, really?
Those are great questions. You always have great questions. In terms of like why we're not pursuing sixplexes citywide, it's really just about efficacy at the end of the day. We think that if we go for a blanket approach, we're gonna go down a road similar to Arlington's where we fight about it for years and don't get a lot done. That's really the kind of bottom line. And when we look at how much capacity we have in our current future land use map and what we can add with targeted strategies, we think we're just going to get a lot more done. That's kind of the bottom line reason for why we're not pursuing a blanket approach. In terms of why, I'll tell you when you see our map for this, when we see what we propose next week, I think you'll find that we're being. I think you're going to see some alignment with the approach we're taking. In general, we're looking for areas that are transit rich, like Ward 1, where you've got pretty frequent buses running down 14th, 16th, and Georgia Avenue, where we're connecting those ideas to transit rich areas. One of the reasons why it's hard to build today the way the buildings were built 100 years ago, the way they're built in Ward 1, is that the people who finance construction want parking because it's a guarantee for the value of the building into the future. And so that's part of what creates the back and forth why parking's so sensitive. Because the investors want parking, it creates a requirement for it that structures the buildings in a certain way. And planning for types of buildings that aren't built today is a challenge to actually creating the outcomes we're looking for. So that's part of why we're trying to live in the realm, live within the structure of how buildings are built today. And some buildings are built without parking, but they face a lot bigger hurdles. It's a lot harder for them to get financing, and those are some of the considerations that we're using.
For the benefit of the audience, I will remind everyone that public policy that reduces parking requirements can be very helpful in telegraphing things to investors. That's why we did spend a lot of time telegraphing things to investors with the rental act per se. So I would hope that we could do the same thing with the comp plan. But I understand if you all may not be ready for that, and I will turn the microphone over to somebody else.
We're gonna have a lot more conversations, Alex. Mr. Nelson.
Ryan, I just have a general question on one of your slides that I don't know whether it is something you can adjust or make clearer. The slide that you had that had all of the color-coded areas along the corridor.
Yes.
One back further, I think. This
one.
For somebody like myself, I'm only speaking for myself, but I'm sure there's others. These color codes are really hard to disseminate.
Yeah.
I understand using colors. That's not a bad thing, but I think you should number the colors. And that makes it a little easier for trying to disseminate whether some of these colors are so close in hue. It makes it easier when there's a number attached to it.
Yeah. That's helpful. We're also going to present these maps as like kind of like a Google map on our website, so you can zoom in and click on properties. Would that be helpful as well?
Yeah, I would assume that probably is, but I'm talking about in general as a report that's a printed thing.
Yeah.
Say using a Google map. Yeah, I mean that probably is more applicable because it'll tell you exactly what it is. But looking at this example, it's really kind of hard because you got colors all over the place. And some of the colors are very close in hue. And, for somebody that doesn't have really good eyesight, it's kind of hard to look at this and see exactly what it is.
Well, I've been looking at these maps for a long time, and I have to look pretty close too. So we'll be taking another closer look. These are early drafts. We're going to do some closer looks and make sure that we're making the colors as accessible and legible as possible. And I'll keep that numbering idea in mind and see if we can figure out a way to carry it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? I'm not seeing any new hands up. All right. I think that is it for this. Final words, Ryan, before we
I just really want to thank the committee and encourage you all to join us for the conversation and be part of the discussion about how the city grows for the future.
great. And
Some
and
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
just real quick. Again, echoing that, thanks. We'd sent an email that has a flyer for the event with the QR code and information. If you need any other information about the workshops, we'd be happy to share. We've been sort of asking folks if they could share on their networks.
Great. And you'll send us a copy of the slide deck via email so we can send it out to the committee.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you both, and we appreciate it.
You too.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, moving to our second official business, the non-compliance with DC Code Act at 3619 Georgia Avenue Northwest. Admittedly, I am less familiar with this one, so I'm not sure if there's anyone either on the committee or in the attendance that has more information they would like to discuss about this one. I see Marcus from one of the attendees.
Yeah, I think Marcus lives that building and probably has the background. This is coming from Commissioner Howard, who is the commissioner for that area.
Okay. Okay. Marcus has been elevated, I believe.
Yeah, I think just some context here. Marcus will be able to talk about this a little bit better than I can, but basically there are some issues with the building at 3619 Georgia Avenue. It's a condo that was built, I think like 5 or 6 years ago, and it looks like the developer did not put in the required bonding, and a lot of finger pointing across different agencies as to who is required for tracking the bonding and all that. But Marcus, yeah, I think you will be much more knowledgeable here. So
Yeah, no, thank you, Josh, for taking this up and to the committee also for your attention. Yeah, Josh's summary is basically correct. The Condo Act provides for a warranty bond that condo owners can use to fix their own units, and that the HOA of the overall condo can use to repair defects on the sort of shared elements of the building. The developer of our building did not post this bond. We discovered this within the 2-year period when the developer still controls the HOA. Since then, we've hired attorneys. They've written to the city. They've written to Office of the Attorney General. They've written to the Department of Buildings and also the title agency. And none of these agencies really took any action to actually secure the bond that we need to be able to repair the problems we're having. I can go into those if you like the details of it, but the crux of the matter is there should be this bond that we can use to make these repairs, and there isn't one. And actually, at one point, I wrote to Councilmember Nadeau about it, and her response was essentially, "This happened to my building too." So it's a known problem. It's not a problem that's isolated to our building, but we do have some pretty substantial issues with the roof and the exterior of the building, and the amount of money that we would need to repair this if we're not able to get it from the developer directly would be pretty substantial.
How old is this building?
The first units were sold at the end of 2021.
Okay. So you're probably off of all of your warranties at this time with everything else?
Yeah, we did make sure to put in notice that we would be making a warranty claim within the warranty window.
Okay. Cool. Got it. Alrighty. Other committee members, questions, feedback. I'm less familiar of this being an ongoing problem, but I have some personal family members here in the city who have struggled with this very issue when
Yeah.
Casualties and like damage have occurred. So, Commissioner Footer.
Did the council member give any indication or any advice on like, is this a legal change? Is there like, I guess the bottom line, and I don't mean to be too direct here, but like, what are you looking for the ANC to do to help you with this?
The issue is that we should have this pot of money to be able to pull or to be able to use to make the repairs if the developer doesn't step in to make them. This is a developer who is still active in the city, and so really the certificate of occupancy for our building should never have been issued. The title agency should not have been selling units. This is all like it's the Condo Act restricts selling units without this bond being posted. They sold units anyways. So for us living in the building, obviously it's too late. But if this developer has other projects ongoing, then we would like to see the city use that as a point of leverage to make sure that our bond is secured as well.
That makes sense. Have you guys thought about doing like a civil suit or anything like that? Is there?
There are strongly worded letters going back and forth. Actually, just going. They haven't replied. So yeah, that would be like we do have attorneys with the board who are preparing that kind of thing if it becomes necessary.
Mhm.
Marcus, are you at liberty to know or divulge who the developer of that parcel was?
Sure. It's IFG Group is the corporate entity.
IFT?
G. G is in golf.
It's not one that I recognize.
Me either.
It's a smaller scale developer. It's primarily one person running the operation, but
Also tell me, because I couldn't tell from the Google map, that whoever was so nice to us to bring up on the screen. What is that on the corner of what street? Georgia and
it's Georgia and Princeton,
Princeton. That's what I thought. Okay.
right across from Looking Glass.
So have we narrowed down the ask at this point? Is it a strongly worded letter or is it the ANC to seek,
Yeah.
action? I don't know.
Dmitri, you should have an email from Brad Howard with a resolution. I think I can't speak for him, but I think his goal is for this committee to review that resolution and consider passing it for
Okay.
the full ANC.
I do.
Yeah, exactly.
I can re-forward that to you.
No, I have it.
Okay,
Just a
cool.
second.
Real quick, can I ask just first, is this the right group, the IFG group?
Yes, that's
I liked what you had said earlier, like just being cognizant of the fact of other things that they might be bringing to the ANC for like any adjustments or things of that nature. Like we should be cognizant of that. That's a really important thought. I'm just looking at this for the first time, but do you know if there's anything on here that is in our immediate vicinity? I see Georgia Avenue here,
Yeah.
but I don't know where that is off the top of my head.
659. That would be, I think, the next block up, which is not under construction. But I do know I think there was an adjustment for this building back in, well, it would have been 2017, 2018. But I don't know, as far as active projects that they have right now, I'm not specifically aware of any. I mean, I know they have active projects, or at least our attorneys have told me that. I don't know which ones specifically though. Yeah, developers will put a lot of addresses and drawings on their sites.
Right.
What's actually under construction is
this you? This is your building?
no, but it's a very similar design. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah, that looks a lot like my kitchen.
Yeah.
Download.
And have you spoken to any of these other buildings? Are they facing similar things that this is a reoccurring issue with this particular developer?
We have not. That is a good suggestion though.
Because if this is down the street and there's another one that's probably also happening.
I do have the resolution if folks want me to share my screen, maybe. And then I will.
Marcus, do you know how to go on to the BZA website and put in your address and see? Well, actually, if you go to the BZA maps and put in your address, it'll tell you whether or not that property has gone through BZA for any changes.
Okay.
that would be helpful for you in the sense of if it went through BZA
Hmm.
and the ANC was part of the process, which it would be if
Mhm.
it's going to BZA, then you have a little bit of a action to address that with BZA, that they had something approved and they're not living up to their contractual
Mhm.
uh, liabilities, or whatever word you want to use. That's
Yeah,
more argument for you to use if you go in for a legal case through the law, the court system.
yeah, absolutely into that.
Now, I'm happy to read this entire resolution. Is that how we do it, or let me know. Let's practice here.
I think it's fine for you just to share your screen and let folks read along,
Okay.
just to save
Josh,
people breath.
You
are
can
you
see it,
familiar?
right?
Mhm. Josh, are you familiar with the language in here? Do you want to walk us through it?
I am not, unfortunately. I'm just, most of my speaking up is I saw emails from Brad on this, and I thought maybe he was joining, but
It's no worries. I can sort of walk us through it. This is a resolution describing sort of what we've covered here so far. Certificate of final occupancy was issued in October of 2021. The unit started to sell in December of 2021. And then the unit owners of the association have requested, as of December 2023, from DHCD a structural defect warranty security, which there was none on file. The existence or absence of a required warranty security prior to unit conveyance presents a regulatory compliance question affecting current residents and potentially other condominium developments in the district. Um, and then we would be this resolution, as you know, in front of the entire ANC, would be requesting that DHCD provide written certification as to whether the structural defect warranty was ever posted for the subject property, and if not, confirm that no such security is on file and out of compliance with DHCD standards and the requirement of the regs. Then the ANC would also be resolved in requesting that DHCD provide a complete condominium registration file for the subject property, including all submissions, approvals, correspondence, and documentation relating to this particular warranty security. The ANC further resolves to request the DHCD provide written explanations of its verification of procedures, and whether or not this matter has ever been referred to the Office of Attorney General or the Department of Building when they were provided the permit file. And the ANC also, excuse me, the ANC further resolves requests that the Department of Building provide the complete permit file and certificate of final occupancy issued back in 2021. And then finally, the ANC will then request the Office of Attorney General to confirm whether it's received a referral or open an investigation related to the absence of warranty of security for this property. And then the ANC will transmit this entire resolution to the Office of Attorney General, the DHCD, the Department of Buildings, Council Member Nadeau, and relevant council oversight committees within 30 days. Okay. Everyone hearing and sort of having a chance to review that. Do we have a motion
No,
on the
no,
table?
no, 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 no.
No?
All right, sorry. Questions. A lot of questions. A lot of questions.
A lot of questions.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. This is great. Half of this, they're going to respond, you should FOIA this. So my first question would be, have we FOIA'd any of this information? Have they come back and said that they don't have it?
Yes, and yes, they do not have. No, they do not have it. I have a supplemental FOIA request going into specific detail on the inspection for the certificate of final occupancy, because the original request was only building was built as described, no safety issues. the entirety of the report on file. So seeing if there's anything more there. But yeah, we have got a FOIA request, and that's how we were able to confirm that there was no warranty bond.
Okay. I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't put it in here, but a FOIA request carries more legal weight in what the government must produce than putting it in a resolution from the ANC. A response is only required from the government to an ANC resolution, and it can be nothing of this exists in the file. Thank you so much. Case closed. Versus a FOIA request is they must produce to the public the records therein requested, right? And so I think there's no harm in keeping it here. I just want to set expectations on like what this will be able to actually produce to help the situation. Let's keep scrolling down. So the FOIA piece is one.
You want to go all the way down
Mm-hmm.
here.
Thank you. That's great. The referral to the attorney general, things of that nature. I think if I understand what you're trying to get at here, I think you may have to be, or we may need to be a little bit more explicit in was the case of the developers of this referred to, or is I call out IFG group ever referred to the office of the attorney general? Like you're already getting you're poking the bear here, right? So like poke it, right? Like
Yeah.
call it out. What you don't need to mince words or you don't need to beat around the bush. Has there ever been a case where IFG has been referred to the Office of the Attorney General for inability to produce X, Y, or Z, insufficient, blah 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 blah. Like call it, right? The last piece is the final resolved here. The government has a legal time limit on when they need to respond to a resolution, and that will trump whatever we request in here. And so is there a reason, is there any kind of time boundary, or let me put it a different way, is there any dependency that you're trying to get at with a 30-day request for a response?
Nothing specific. That was sort of Brad's suggestion to put that kind of deadline on it, but we don't have anything happening 30 days from now. No.
I might, if you want to get a response in order to move things along, I'm not suggesting to conjure one up, but if you may say something to the effect of a timely response would help promote the ability for us to time in a file paperwork in a timely manner, like something along those lines to help kind of justify why you need this in a particular way. Otherwise, they're going to just disregard that last clause, and it'll just be, well, we are legally required to respond in this amount of time, and it doesn't matter what you say.
I suppose if through this route we could get the developer to actually retroactively post the bond, then that would be something we would want to happen as soon as possible, because we have already spent about $50,000 investigating and mitigating the problems.
Yeah, I would put that in there. And if the city council and the
is that a penalty that OAG could put forth, or is that only voluntary, like posting of that security bond retroactively with DHCD? Could OAG reach like a settlement agreement with that to have the developer do that?
I would think that they probably would, since if it's part of the law that they're supposed to have it and they didn't have it, there's been gaps between DHCD and Department of Buildings issuing a C of O when it should never have been issued in the first place. And if they put people in the building and now there's problems with it, then the building owners should be able to require from, and I would assume the OAG could do this, that the developer at least post a bond at a bare minimum. I mean, that it seems to me like somebody has multiple departments here have made huge mistakes in not following through on their own regulations.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the end of the recommendations that I have. Marcus, can I ask, are you Are you writing this, or is that feedback that would be helpful to give to Commissioner Howard?
It would be Commissioner Howard. He's the one who pulled together the resolution.
Okay.
And I'm
If you
happy
don't mind,
to relay it.
yeah, if you want to relay that, and then if he has any questions or if he wants some help, I'm happy to help. Word some of this to kind of get a little bit of what you're trying to get at.
Mhm.
But I apologize. I agree completely with what Patrick was just mentioning. Like, it may even be like one of the requests you have in here is that the Office of the Attorney General proactively conduct an investigation into this. Like, they don't need a referral in order for them to start looking into something.
Mhm.
It seems to me that a bonding agency would be very reluctant to take to file a bond for this project, knowing all the difficulties, right? It's
Yeah.
going to be hard to find a bonding organization agency to
Mhm.
to participate with this project, knowing the faulty nature of the construction.
Well, at a bare minimum, that to your point, Brad, I mean, that should, in my field of thought, should fall directly back onto the developer, that they should pony up and find somebody to do it. And if it costs them $100,000 when it usually costs them 20, that's on them. I mean, they've made a huge mistake by not doing this the way it should have been done.
So our task here, assuming that we agree with this resolution and so on, is just to recommend that the ANC adopt this recommendation. Is that our task?
If you don't mind, I'll give my personal opinion, but I think that we could talk about it. I think that there's some more editing that needs to happen with the resolution. So I don't think that it would behoove the committee to vote on this resolution this evening. But if we want to vote on kind of the idea of this or the support towards the residents of this building, and kind of recommend that the full ANC take up a resolution or something like that. I feel like there's a lot more that goes into it, and by the time we start editing it over the next 2 weeks before the ANC meeting, the committee's vote's going to kind of be no.
Interesting.
Well, if he's not on a time frame, at a bare minimum, if the group, the condo association or whoever reaches out to the AG and starts that, then
We have.
the committee could just refer this back to Howard and say, we have read it over, we're in agreement with it, we don't want to support it until you make these changes, and then come back next month. And we already know that as long as he's made the changes that we recommended to him, then we can recommend that to the ANC and let them vote on it the next month. Unless we're in a time crunch to get it done this month. And I don't, based on what Marcus said, I don't think that's an issue. I'd rather it be functional and get all of the points that you want in it before it goes to the ANC.
Josh Jacobson, just as chair, do you want to weigh in on what you think would be the best course of action?
I don't think it really matters, to be frank. I mean, I think it's fine for the committee to say that we are in general support of a resolution like this and that we just want the ANC to tweak the language. I mean, at the end of the day, what really matters is what comes out of the ANC, right? So I think it's fine if the committee wants to just have a motion in favor of the general resolution and then recommend tweaks that we can make before our general body meeting in 2 weeks.
I think I'm fine with that, unless others want to.
I'm willing to make a motion to do exactly that.
Okay.
Committee
Seconded.
support of
Good.
this resolution with modifications and recommend that the ANC send it once it's modified.
Okay. That's been a motion by Mr. Nelson, and that motion was seconded by Commissioner Footer. All those in favor?
Hold on, hold on.
Sure.
Can we repeat the motion? I'm not
Sure.
clear on the motion.
Well, I sort of phrased a motion, and then Mr. Nelson said, "I want that motion." So I'll try to phrase the motion better. I guess I move that this committee recommends advancement of this resolution to the full ANC body with modifications that include, I don't remember all the things that Commissioner Footer had mentioned there, but but with the things,
clear
FOIA,
direction. Yeah, clear direction on who the company is that actually is being cited.
and
Advising
then
the Office of the Attorney General to conduct an investigation proactively, and then specifically stating the time boundaries for request response.
So
I think that's everything.
if I understand this right, the motion is saying that we don't deliver this. We support this generally, the spirit of it, but we would like these amendments to it, and we're not going to send it to the ANC until all these amendments are made. Do I have that right?
No.
well,
No.
the ANC, I mean, between this meeting and the ANC meeting, we'll work with Commissioner Howard to get those pieces added in.
So when it gets to the ANC, it will have all the corrections, additions,
Yes,
edits,
yes.
and so on that we're recommending.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm dealing with baby brain over here.
No,
But
I
I'm
understand.
gonna maybe back in fighting shape in a month.
Okay. And who's responsible for making these changes?
Commissioner Howard.
Okay.
But Marcus, Commissioner Jacobson, and I will help. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not going to be sent to
Thank you.
pasture to do it on his own. Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
We have a recording. We'll just tell him to watch the recording and
Exactly. Yeah. We don't have to do anything. What are you saying?
Okay.
Okay.
So it's been moved in second. Where are we
Yes.
now?
Now we're back to all those in favor.
Aye.
Raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And all those opposed? Hearing none. I don't know that I heard anything from AB. Any response? Hearing none. Saying
Hey, sorry. I'll find by me.
and okay, we're all approved. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Marcus. Really appreciate you bringing this to the attention. And I know the commissioners on this will help you kind of push this along at the NC later this month.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
Can I say one thing? Marcus, we've never done a resolution like this before, so I just want to thank you for, bringing this, and for you and Commissioner Howard thinking kind of creatively of how the ANC can be a chief advocate for people in the community when the government is not responding in its right way. So thank you for stretching the boundaries of how we think about utilizing our power, and this is, I think, a really good resolution that we should be promoting more often.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think your support will really help get something moving down at City Hall. So fingers crossed.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Just as a point of order, not that it matters, just
Sure.
Always a pain in the butt, but when you do your roll call for yays and nays, you should always make sure that you also ask if anyone is abstaining.
Okay, I can add that.
May abstain. And since we have a small group, we already know everybody else voted, but just for a technical statement, should include that.
We'll add the abstention to my growing and struggling way of calling votes. But thank you, Mr. Nelson. Okay, moving on to a discussion on doubles, the settlement agreement. Not sure who.
I can take this one a little bit.
Okay.
But I more want to see if there's anybody from the community that's here to discuss it. If you are here from the community and you want to discuss the doubles settlement agreement, please raise your hand. And while we're waiting for that, just a little bit of background. During the last ANC meeting, there was a member of the public who had brought up that there needs to be a conversation about what's going on with doubles and renegotiate or potentially renegotiating their settlement agreement. Since then, I talked to Commissioner Hawker, who is the SMD where doubles is, and their liquor license renewal is not pending, and so we don't have a natural space to open up conversations with the settlement agreement. That doesn't mean that we can't. You can open up conversations with the settlement agreement at any point in time. And so Commissioner Hawker reached out to Doubles and let them know that some community members had expressed some concern and that we want to have a conversation and revisit the settlement agreement. And so tonight, the objective is to hear what some of those complaints are. We're not going to have the actual conversation of what the settlement agreement, how it needs to change or negotiating that. Commissioner Hawker is going to lead that, and depending on what people are saying or kind of need, she will kind of organize the community members and facilitate that conversation with doubles themselves. And Commissioner Jacobson, I see your hand is up.
Sorry, are you talking about the person who raised the concern at the last general body meeting?
Yeah.
They mentioned hook call, I'm fairly certain, because they had emailed me afterward and mentioned hook call in the email. Did they communicate something else to you?
No, I took a note during the meeting, doubles.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah.
And I just got it wrong.
It's okay. I asked them to email me. So they emailed me, and I included them on a thread with Commissioner Hawker, but I haven't heard back on that, so I will follow up on that thread. But it was definitely hook call and not doubles.
I definitely took a note that it was doubles.
Maybe they did. Maybe the community member said doubles, but in their email they said hook call.
That is my bad, and
it's
I may
totally
have just started
yeah.
a cascading effect of doubles hating us for a little while.
I'll reach out to Commissioner Hawker.
Thank you.
So I think we're trying to confirm if this is so can we discuss this next go round if there's any more feedback.
Yeah, and it looks like there is anybody from the community who is here to discuss it. During the meeting, we did, Commissioner Jacobson, we had talked about referring it to this committee, which is why we put it on the agenda. So it doesn't appear that anybody from the community had come to discuss it. We were trying to keep it open to the public to come and talk about it. Commissioner Hawker couldn't make it tonight because of some work that she couldn't get away from, but if no one's here, I don't think there's much more to discuss. She's going to lead the charge. But Commissioner Jacobson will correct my error and point her in the right direction of what was actually asked for and not doubles.
Brian, are you at liberty to, since I missed the meeting, to just briefly say what their issue is or why they want the settlement agreement?
The very high level was that there were concerns about noise coming from hook call.
Especially if it's hook call.
Yeah.
And that's been an issue for a very long time.
It has.
Or there are a number of community members who are regularly discussing the hook hall noise issues, I should say. Okay, that's all I got.
Great. Moving to the Howard University student presentation, scheduled for April. Mr. Grant.
Yeah, I just want to briefly discuss. We talked about having students, they're working on a project. These are upper division architecture students working on a project on Georgia Avenue in the areas that Howard owns the property next to the McDonald's, that site next to the McDonald's, some of the other sites along and near Georgia Avenue. And we're going to select one of the projects to go through a mock session with us. So the question I have, what do we need to have the students? Do they need to submit something to us, or can they load and share their screen at the time? How should we make this work?
Can I ask you a favor?
Uh-huh.
So the McDonald's parking lot, that development, the other one, I'm blanking on the name, and Bon Reco are all in my district. If they're all working on something and you get to pick, can you pick Bon Reco? That would be amazing to hear them come and like talk about the Bon Reco kind of development. It's if you remember, it's like part of it's going to be a hotel, part of it's going to be two major residential buildings, and there's a huge commercial space that's going to be in the bottom that's supposed to be similar to like a Union Market. So it's kind of complex in all of it. It's got a historic designation on it, which is why it's been in court for 10 years. And if you want me to be that persona that comes in like blazing and just like really put them through the ringer, ooh, I'll come in a costume. I'll do a full Ron Burgundy, whatever. I already got the mustache.
Okay, Brian.
I don't think we have to. I think we need to treat it as you would treat a regular project, right? If you have issues with it, you should let the students know the issues. If you think they have a wonderful project, you should let them know they have a wonderful project. And I think we should.
Are they supposed to be proposing a new project or just talking about what's already there? And
No, it's a new. They're developing their own project.
okay, so then all of the things that Brian just said about the hotel and all of that has absolutely nothing to do with anything because they're coming up with a totally different idea.
Some might. I haven't reviewed all the projects, but it may have some, aspects of keeping the building and hotel. We'll have to see.
What
And
what will they have done at this time?
So they
Like,
will
what
have.
can
They will
we
present
see?
the architect. They will talk about the project the way many of our presentations will talk about the project, the size, the amount of number of units, the mixed use. You could ask them questions about the normal, where is the parking? How do you get the garbage? Whatever are the things that we discuss. The look, all those things that we typically discuss.
Okay.
But they'll have drawings and maps and some of that kind of. They won't have a lot of written legal descriptions that oftentimes comes in, but they'll have the visuals.
That will be you have the grades or reviewing or what reactions?
No, I'm not quite clear of your question.
No, what are you asking the committee to input? I'm assuming.
You doing you have a project. You having grades for the students?
No, so I'm not asking you to grade it or is this an A project or B project? It's really a learning experience for them to know that architects not only go through all this technical things to design, but it has to be influenced by the community and by the ANC and so on. And oftentimes we will ask the designer, the developers, the architects to modify the buildings or justify what they're doing. So it's really, Tony, a learning experience. It's just a teaching experience.
And
And
The same class
it'd
that
be recommendations or something.
Yeah. If you have recommendations, this, like we normally do.
And yeah.
And are they, what stage in like the development process are they supposed to be coming to us with, just like architectural design and kind of how it would fit within the community? Or is it like come with construction plans? How is it going to disrupt traffic flow? Like,
Yeah, so it's really preliminary design. So it won't have all the technical. If you ask them about the structural components of it, they may not know that. But in terms of massing and how circulations and how people enter and exit and the general look and height and massing of the buildings, they should be able to articulate that.
And it sort of flow in the community and how it looks and those
Yeah,
types
how it
of
fits in the
things.
community.
Yeah.
The students claim they pulled, in fact, Pat, no, I don't know if Tony, you guys interacted with them. Didn't you interact?
That's what I was just going to
Oh,
ask. That's the
yes,
same class that
yes, we did. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, those are the same group of students that
Yeah.
Pat and Tony. So they reached out to community members and so on and so forth.
Great.
It's good to see that, to follow up on that, because that was a real productive transaction that we had with them.
Yeah.
They were asking some really interesting, very substantive questions. So I'm curious to see what they're going to come out with.
So again, the question is, do they need to submit these drawings and things ahead of time, or should they share the screen at the time? How should that be processed?
I mean, if they have the stuff, we're more than happy to take it and I can forward it around before the meeting. But also I think probably everyone is good if they just wanted to present and take the share screen. I think that works
Okay.
for us as well. So if they
Okay.
have them, we'll take them, we'll look at them, and we might have more informed questions. If they want to present and they want easier questions, we can look at them in real time.
Okay. All right. Good.
and on a serious note, like how much do you want us to kind of like challenge them to think about certain aspects of it? Because like it may be perfect and there's no real question, but like you want us to ask questions and just kind of kick the tires and like make them think, right?
We can come
Yeah,
up with
absolutely. One of the goals is critically thinking about environmental design and how it impacts the community. So yeah, it'd be good to make them, think.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Those Howard University students are real smart, so
Okay, we can come up
I
with
know
some
that they're going to come
suggestions.
up with some good stuff.
Yeah, we're going to have to be on the top of our game. We're going to have to be on the top of our game.
What's
Right?
the time scale again for presentation? What's the time scale?
What do you mean?
April.
They
For the next meeting, for
Yeah.
the April
yeah,
meeting.
Thank you, Amy.
So we put it on the agenda for the April meeting, and what should we give them 15 minutes, 10 minutes? What
How
kind of
many
time?
projects are we thinking? One, two?
No, it's just we're just going to select one project because I don't
One
want to.
project? Oh yeah, 15
Yeah,
minutes is plenty. Yeah. And
I don't want to overload. We may have many other things to talk about, so I don't want to dominate the meeting.
No worries. I do want to reach out to Howard University. I feel like we haven't had an update from them in a while, and I was supposed to do that earlier this year, and I haven't. So maybe
Great
that
idea.
might be a time to
Dmitri, just so you know, we had our quarterly CAC meeting, which I'm assuming you were invited to.
Oh, he may not have been. We should need to get him on that list.
Get on that because I think Michael was on it before, but they were supposed to be doing that presentation during that meeting because I had pushed them on it. They originally were supposed to do it in January.
Mhm.
And then Derek got sick, so he didn't show up. So I specifically said to Teresa before the meeting ended that I fully understand that people get sick. I said, but promises were made, and I'm going to hold you to making him come. So they're going to have, according to Teresa, another meeting outside of the normal quarterly meeting just to talk about all of the projects
Okay.
that
And Dmitri,
supposed to be making a presentation on at the last one. So we just need to make sure that he gets on to that list.
Dmitri, if you just email Teresa and CC me in it, just introduce yourself. And then, as Patrick's saying, like one of the things to directly ask is, could you please add me to the CAC quarterly meetings? That's the,
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Let's reach out to Howard. All right, cool. Well, thank you. I think that moves us in. Are there any other items of official business or committee updates? Okay. Hearing none.
I move with unanimous consent to adjourn.
Any nays to the unanimous consent to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
We
all.
will touch base next month.
Talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye.